All right, welcome to Foundry Demo Day on November 5th here. We're going to go through a few things, most notably the website it's not live as in published on foundry.com yet, but it is, we have a staging URL and it's almost live. Is that right, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, it's a matter of literally
pointing
it there. So it's very easy to make live up.
But it's very close to being done. And so we would just want to show that off. I'll also show the Strapi backend and what that looks like briefly. And then I also want to show the, what else here? Oh yeah, the Deeth calculator. So what we're replacing the calculator with to give the user a better idea of how Deeth performs or has performed historically. So yeah, without further ado, let me jump into it.
Do you want me to demo the site, or are you gonna demo the site?
Yeah, I can demo it. Oh, let me just close all my, before I get any embarrassing messages here. Okay, good enough.
Or you're embarrassed by the fact that you get no messages.
That would be the most embarrassing outcome. Absolutely. All right. So yeah, so if you get to Foundry, we probably showed a lot of this off before, but all the text is updated now. So I don't need to really go through all the text. One thing we're still waiting on is getting Markdown rendering. That's why this is not a link, and it should be.
Well, only on that component. On other places, it does work.
Well, I actually, after we had that conversation, I did find it on quite a few other components. So, and then for certain things like the roadmap, it shows links, but it's doing it differently now. There was somewhere else where it showed links, but it just caps them instead of making them a different color. So that was odd. So I just think it needs to be standardized throughout the site. Anyway, so we have the home, just talks about Foundry. It shows sort of how Foundry is designed to work, where we build products that generate profit, that get harvested into Fry, that the Fry holders direct to build more products. Yeah, we have a blog as well with a single blog. I think we have some test blogs still up right now. Yeah, but we actually have an actual blog up here. One thing we need to figure out is how to edit the post time, because this is quite an old post that I pulled from Medium. So if we want it up here, we'll have to change that date to reflect when we actually wrote that. But yeah, and all this being like, I'm going through and updating this through the Strapi backend. Oh, of course I'm not.
You still need to show the roadmap, eh? We did show
the coolest part. Yeah.
And the FAQ, yeah, you're skipping the best part.
Yeah, yeah. One more thing we also need to work on is when there's a link, it makes the line spacing a bit odd. But yeah, it just goes through where we've been and then where we're going. Yeah, and then talks a little bit about, yes, I need to actually change this. There's one more item that should be here, and this one should be up here. Yeah, I don't really want to show off Strapi just because I'd have to go to my other browser. Anyway, yeah, so that's the Foundry website. Is there anything else we should talk about here? I don't think FAQ is working yet. I guess About Us is kind of interesting.
No, FAQ is working yet.
Oh, it is? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it is. Yeah.
Okay, I'll go there in a minute.
Everything is done.
We're probably going to be changing these pictures. Doesn't exactly go with the tone of the new website as much. And we have some principles here that's interesting. And then we talk here a little bit about sort of the impact that we hope Foundry will have.
I just want to clarify something on those principles. We have principles that if you don't like them, we can get others.
Yeah, that's right. Yep, and then the FAQ. So yeah, you can just go through here and look through this stuff. Now this I have not actually gone through and edited yet, so I actually need to do that. In fact, I'm just going to make a note here. I didn't realize that was live. So anyway, yeah, that's the website. And it's, I mean, anyone can go to this staging URL and see it. And then once we have just a few more of the things polished off, we'll be putting it on foundry.com. So pretty exciting. Anything else you guys want to say on that before I move to the Deeth stuff?
I think, yeah, what I just want to say is there's a few issues on the site that we know about. I mean, it's not 100% perfect. No software is ever. So we've already created a backlog of issues that we'll be working on in the following week. But I think the site is at least at a point where we can, I mean, it's better, it's definitely better than the current site. So we can replace the current site with this one. And throughout the week, we'll then be deploying fixes for multiple different things that we still know are issues, as well as the content that you saw now, which still needs to be refreshed. But yeah, other than that, I don't see a reason why we can't make this live on foundrydao.com.
Yep.
In
Cool. Yep. And yeah, so I think we'll probably do that on Monday, pretty quick on Monday. All right, well, let me show off the Deeth stuff. So here. So I'll first go to the existing Leverly app just to show you what we're replacing. So here, once it loads, we used to have this calculator here, and this was built on the assumption that when you hold a Deeth position, your gains in Ether are squared. So you know, if you put 1 ETH in and then it grows by 10% roughly, then you would see this grow by you'd see your USD value grow by 110% squared, which is 121%, which is so 21% growth. That was wrong, and we've had to do a lot more analysis on how Deeth works. We're still figuring out how to put that into let's say some marketing sound bites, but in the meantime, what we've done is we've built some graphing stuff. And so these are going to be put together in a little bit. But basically, if we just look at this one, the green line is the ETH valuation, and this will also get a design pass at some point. But just to start getting, just to get it to functionality, this is what we have. So you put in how much ETH is in your position, and the green line reflects how much that ETH is going to be worth if you just keep it in ETH. And then if you set a date range here, currently it's set to there. Let me just move this one back a little bit. So I'll do October 20th to say December 1st. And we don't have a loading element yet, so this will just take a little while to load. But then this line here that is about to change basically shows how much your position would be worth as you held the Deeth token. Should be changing in a moment here.
Yeah, it takes a little while. I spoke to Omar about it earlier today. It takes a minute he's actually fetching data, I'm assuming, from some sort of low priority service.
Well, it's from
yeah.
It's from the graph. And it might be a matter of fetching too many data points. I mean, this might be a really dense data set. Anyway, so what you can see here, so this is not an estimation. This actually looks at the historical valuation of Deeth. And the reason this line starts out a little bit below here is because that represents the fees that you would have to pay upon entry and exit. So this first point on the brown line is if you'd entered Deeth and exited immediately, then you'd have a little bit less. But as the market grows here, you can. Yeah.
Sorry, Logan, your browser is blocking the API call. That's why it's not working. So just click there on the Brave.
No, it worked. It loaded. It just didn't get much bigger. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So then by the time of the end date of this little scenario, you can see here that the Deeth valuation is worth 5,000. And now these aren't working on this branch, but if I go over to this branch, this branch, this displays the graph differently, but this has the functioning summary here. So let me just, in fact, just to get this to be the same. So that's 1020 to 12.1. Do the same thing here. Let's see, 1020, 12.1. Unfortunately, this will take a little while, but it'll show you how much ETH you can take out at the end. So there we go. So you put in 1 ETH, but you can actually take out 1.09 ETH, which is a 9% growth in ETH. It's a 28% growth in terms of the dollar value.
17% more than you would have had.
Well, this is 17%. I think this is without Deeth, so it's written a little confusingly or organized confusingly. So if you had only held ETH, you'd have 17% growth. If you'd held Deeth instead, you'd see 28% growth total. And then these are just different ways of looking at the same data essentially.
I'm not sure how you phrase that now, but that bottom one is basically how much more you would have made versus just holding Ether.
Well, that's not how it's labeled. Final dollar value without ETH.
Yeah.
Right.
So in other words, if you held ETH instead of ETH.
Yes. Yes, that's right. Yeah, this last line is if you held ETH. This is if you held ETH. Yeah. What's that snarky joke I hear coming?
Most of our team doesn't have English as a first language. So
Yeah.
we frequently construct sentences like that one.
Yeah. Anyway, these two will be put together, these two versions of the graph. Personally, I prefer this one that keeps the ETH chart the same and then just charts the ETH position from when you started it. This one stretches the graph, opens the graph up to show the entirety of the ETH position, but they're both basically doing the same thing. So this is what we want to, obviously, after a design pass, replace this interface with. This is an estimation that's unfortunately quite inaccurate. This one looks at historical data, so it's extremely accurate, although it can't be, you can't use it to predict the future, but you can basically use this to say, okay, if I'd entered on this date, what would it look like on this other date? And yeah, I think that's just going to make it easier to sell ETH. So ultimately, what we'd like to do is have this be a point and click. This is just sort of an MVP. So if I'm looking at this graph and I can click here and drag here, then it would draw this, brown line wherever I've clicked. And so I could very easily click around and play with the data. Yep. So that's all I got to demo.
Just a note on that. We have 10 minutes before 4 o'clock. But what I just want to say about this is that due to the fact that the calculator currently shows the values incorrectly, after we realized it in the last week or so, and obviously started working on a better way to present it, we have a PR article already that we've been talking about that's going to go onto multiple sites to specifically advertise this. And we can't publish that PR article until this graph thing is ready. So we have put together a working MVP. It still needs some styling and a loader for when it's fetching new data and stuff. So we're looking to complete that in the next few days, and then with the new site also publish the article. So we're hoping that we can publish that article sometime next week to start seeing some more eyes on ETH and Foundry and this product. So that's just the marketing timeline. With the new site, we wanted to do the publishing of the article on Monday, but obviously since realizing the discrepancy in the prices, we can't do that until the new calculator is ready. So yeah, I wanted to point that out.
Yeah, it still seems like it's quite, we'll be able to get to it quite soon, but just not quite as rapidly as we thought. Yeah, Skulk, did you have something you wanted to go over in demo day? No, we only have like 9 more minutes. At least until
I did have
in the recording.
I did have something I wanted to go over, but I think I changed something here last minute, so it looks like it might take a moment or two. Ahmed had some sort of a question. Ahmed, I wasn't sure what the question was about the supply of Fry, I think. Maybe if you just want to type that into the chat, we can answer that. So in the meanwhile, while I wait for this thing to run.
Scott, I think your machine is using your Mac microphone instead of your headset. So every time you sit backward, we can't hear what you're saying. Maybe you should just switch mics and Zoom.
Hold on. Let me switch headsets.
I'll be right back, guys.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, much better.
Hold on. Hello.
Can you hear you? I think the questions I'm seeing, this question is do we have a marketing wallet or only a governance wallet? So I'm not entirely sure what that means, but what I'm interpreting it as, if we receive funds, do we have a place that we'll put the funds into the treasury for work done as opposed to using to actually market Foundry? So in other words, where are the funds that we are going to use to market Foundry? Is that the question?
That's how I understood the question. I can answer that question. I'm pretty sure that's what was meant by it. We could separate the treasuries and separate that in terms of, what the purpose of each treasury is going to be. But it's unclear what benefit that would actually bring because.
I think just to interject, Logan, I don't think he's asking the question because he wants to know whether we can split it. He's asking it because he wants to know where are the funds to market Foundry. Because if you look at the current treasury balance, it's almost $2,000 and we have to pay the team and market the DAO. So I think the question is more towards where are we going to get the money to actually do the marketing? So
Well, I just answered that question in Telegram. There's approximately, depending on how you count, there's between about $60,000 and $120,000 between the Team Toast treasury and it's actually a bit more. It's about between 70,000 and 110,000, depending on if you count the fry or not. But there's at least $70,000 in assets between the Team Toast treasury and the Foundry treasury at the moment. It's just not reflected on the dashboard. It's an item that, the updating of the dashboard has fallen by the wayside in the meantime.
Yep.
So he did confirm that's what he was asking. And another thing I just want to say is that we've already prepaid for the articles that's going to go out. So we paid, I think it's going to go on 10 or 15 different sites, and each of the sites have a fee to publish an article. So we've already paid for all of those. So we just have to give the go ahead for them to publish it. But yeah, so that doesn't have to still be paid from the treasury. So we're hoping if we do that and we go onto a bunch of sites and we start getting some more people to see the project and buy more Fry, then we'll have more funds to obviously market even more. So that's the current hope.
Yeah, and another sort of angle to that question is that a lot of the marketing stuff we can do is more legwork from the team. So we can pay for ads and we can pay for different things, but we're going to be focusing a lot on, trying to get interviews, being more active on Twitter, writing different articles. And there's a lot that we can do just in those terms that we'll be working on as well. It doesn't strictly take money from the treasury other than the funds we're already paying for salaries.
Does that answer the question, Ahmed? Yeah, so Logan, I think if you need to go, I'm trying to rerun this thing on my side now. I think I just updated Visual Studio Code, which changed something about the notebook system. I don't know if we'll actually be able to demo that thing. It just keeps giving me some error that I'm going to have to go. Some error that it wasn't giving 20 minutes ago.
Well, I'm going to end the recording here then. If you want, Skulk, you can always record something and we can put it up on YouTube.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay.
Alrighty.
In the meantime,
yeah,
I'll delete those demo blogs and then make the site live in the meantime.
Okay, cool. Nice.
Awesome sauce.
Sweet.
Cool.
So then by the
Thank
time
you.
people are seeing this on YouTube, they should be able to see the new site on foundrydao.com. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Oh, cool. Great. Cool. And then the only thing that I would say is broken is the links. So there'll be some things that should be links and they're kind of a little bit of code, but other than that, I think it's pretty functional. Cool.
Thanks.
Sweet. Okay.
Good job, guys. The website's looking sick.
Thanks. Cool.
Cool.
Alrighty.
Just
Bye,
guys.
YouTube.
Bye.